So we're asked to find the exact value of tan 300. So we're going to be over here at 300. So we've come all the way around and that's our 300. So we've got to ask ourselves, how did we actually get there? Thinking back to our unit circle rules or concepts, we actually did 360 minus this angle here and that angle being 60. So straight away we can say that tan 300 is the same as tan 360 minus 60. So we've come back 60 degrees to get to 300. So we're in the fourth quadrant, and in the fourth quadrant we know that cos is positive. We've got cast. So cos is positive, tan will be negative, and we know the concept of equivalent triangle. So this triangle is the same as this triangle in the first quadrant. So we can say that it's going to be the same as tan 60 because they're equivalent triangles, but again, we're in the fourth quadrant, we know cos is positive, so it's going to be the negative of that. From here we go back to our special triangles, and we know that tan is opposite over adjacent, so looking at the triangle, we know that this is going to be root 3 divided by 1, and we don't forget it's in the fourth quadrant where tan is negative. You should always, in the exam situation, use your calculator to check you actually got it right. There's no point walking out without doing this. Even though we want the exact value, it doesn't mean that you can't check it. Let's look at it again now with sine 225. So we're going to write sine 225. We ask ourselves, where are we? Well, we're in, if we think about the quadrants and that, we're actually in here. And how do we get here? Well, it's going to be 180 plus something. And thinking back to our triangles, we only have 30, 60, and 45. So it's going to be 180 plus 45. In this quadrant, we know that only tan is positive because we've got our cast, C-A-S-T. So sine's going to be negative. So the first thing we do is we write down the equivalence one, which is sine 180 plus 45. So that's how we got to 225. We were in the third quadrant, so it's going to be the equivalent to negative sine 45. We go to our special triangle. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So we can tell then it's going to be 1 over root 2. Again, we're in the third quadrant, so it's going to be negative. Similarly to the first question, use your calculator, check that you got it right. There's no point in not using a calculator to see that you're on the right track with this. The last one then, sine 2 pi on 3. Here we're just working in radians, not degrees, so we've got to think about where are we and how did we get there. So we've got sine 2 pi on 3. So we've got 2/3 of pi. So we'll go back to our thing, remembering that pi is 180. So we've got 2/3 of that. 2/3 of pi. So we've come back by this angle to get our equivalent triangles going. So what angle did we go back by? Well, we went back by pi on 3. So it's the same as sine pi minus 1/3. Okay, we minus 1/3. This time then we think we're in a second quadrant. We've got our cast. So sine is positive in the second quadrant. So the equivalent angle is going to be the same as theta and positive. So sine pi take pi on 3 is the same as sine pi on 3. Now sine pi on 3 is 180 divided by 3. So that's 60. So we're after our special triangle of 60. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So in this case, the opposite is root 3 over 2. Okay, again, second quadrant, sine's positive, so it's going to be positive. Similarly, you can check your calculator. You either need to put your calculator into radians to be able to type in sine 2 times pi on 3, or you could convert this back to degrees, right? It's 180 minus 60, so it's going to be 120 degrees, and type in sine 120 and check that you actually do get root 3 on 2.